communication for I think this is my second year so far. I've been a little low key, but I think I have also been quite contributive to some of the projects that we have worked on. I worked with Nicholas on the GPT 2024, and I'm currently leading the design team for the 2025. Um, so I'm pleased to meet you all. It's quite unfortunate we don't have. I remember when Derek suggested these sessions, a lot of people were kind of gave it a thumbs up. A lot of people vouched for it, and but it's quite different from what we are seeing today. A lot of people are in here, but I hope that the two,
That's interesting. Actually, in
yeah,
the previous days, we've seen quite some participation, but today I'm not so sure what. It's possible because maybe many people didn't read, might not have read that on Saturday it's going to be at 5 p.m. or
mm,
something. But yeah.
so it's me that they are doing this to me.
Oh, so the good thing is that it's being recorded, and I've seen quite a number of people hit me up for the
Sure,
link to the recording. So I'm sure
and that's
when we record them, other people will be able to join.
that's
Yeah.
all right, all right. So my Figma is loading up. I don't know why Figma takes time to load, but I'm guessing it's because there's a lot of content in the project, the SPE file. So, yeah, I think we have it here. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Please confirm if you see my screen, and then we can proceed. Okay. Yes, I'll be seeing my screen.
Yeah, it's still loading.
It is too loading. Okay, it's
Yeah.
okay
Yes.
now.
Okay. Please, so is it safe to assume that all the participants, I mean, how many of you are not familiar with Figma? Can I know by thumbs up
I'm
or
not familiar.
okay? Okay. So Derek is not familiar. I think David has been working on some of our projects for a while, so he must be a little familiar. And then iPhone, it must be a lady. Is it Rosalind? Uh,
Yeah, Roslyn has just connected. But iPhone, how do
okay.
you assume iPhone is a lady?
Yeah, I think that the person's name didn't come, so I think they use the phone's name to. One person I'm seeing is iPhone.
Yeah, I've tried to ask the person for their
Okay.
identity, but the person doesn't respond.
Okay, Rosalind, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So okay. Yeah, so I'll just my mouse is messing up. I'll just start. So Figma is primarily for UI design. So if you have a UI concept you want to build, you can build it in Figma. It is quite popular. But I think that but according to my background, what the person who introduced it to me, introduced it to me as a graphic design software. Um, so that is what I've been using it for all this while. I have not done any UI design with it so far because it hasn't become necessary yet. So far, all my experience has been for graphic design, which I believe is the relevant skill for this training. So when you open Figma, it will bring you home. If you're a new user, so we have two different kinds of platforms. We have the website online, which is equally efficient, and then we also have the desktop version. So you can install the desktop version or use it online. What I'm using here is the desktop version. So on the free plan, you have the free plan, the paid plan. The free plan, you can create up to a maximum of 3 projects. And then there are some limitations with how many other file types that you can create. But I think so far it is enough because the amount of space you have to create all your flyers is almost infinite. So I don't know if you can see what is here, where my mouse is hovering. You can see that there is a lot of graphics in there. All the space
Yeah.
around it represent the amount of space that we can put graphic designs over there, and it's even bigger. So the free version is so far sufficient. And that is what SPE we have been using, and then I personally also use. So when you come here, you can, as you can see, like any other design software, you can see design. That is, if you want to add a design, if you want to add a Figma jump, these things we won't touch them. You can also use Figma to create presentation slides, okay, and then present it in Figma and export it. So, but I think we are going to focus on the design aspect. So I'll use the SPE file, project file to show you so far. Yeah, so when you open any file in Figma, are you hearing me?
Yeah, we are.
Yes, please, we can.
Sure. How do I make this thing disappear? Okay, it's gone. All right. So, hi. So when you look at the left side of it, you find your browser pane and where you have your menu settings, main menu. So when you click on this, you have a list of menu options over here where you can change some some settings. And then we have also more settings over here. They are usually self-explanatory, so you can browse through them. And then you have objects. Okay, once you select an object, there are some settings that you can apply to it, some formatting, and then some editing that you can do to it. But because I haven't selected anything, they are all grayed out. And then we have text. You also have some. It's normally like I don't know if you can picture Microsoft Word, that kind of where they arrange the tabs on the top horizontal panel. But in this case, they have arranged it on the left side, and then you have vector. You have some other features over here, and then you have plugins. Figma also offers you the opportunity to install plugins that offer you extra functionality. For example, this one is a QR code generator, which has been incredibly useful to me so far. And then you have icons, and then you can insert any icons of your choice. And then you have a background remover. These are things I have added. There are many of them over here. So if you want to browse for more, you come to manage plugins, and then you can save them. You come to manage plugins, and then you can add some to your workspace. And then we have widgets. This is normally for UI design, and then you have the preferences where you can make changes and settings to how your software would function. All right. And then you can use this button to collapse, okay, or expand the left pane. The name of the project file is here. You can export it, you can publish it, you can change some settings over here, like you can do in Photoshop. Okay. And then you have what you call pages. Whenever you create a Figma project, the maximum number of projects you can create is 3. So this SPE Ghana that you see over here is one project, a design project. Now you can create pages in your project to signify different areas of your project. And then over here, you can see ongoing, the one page called ongoing, and you can add a page from here. You can see ongoing, which is being used to represent the number of all the designs that are currently going on in for SPE. You have completed. I assume that because even on this ongoing page, we have designs here, but I assume that the original creator intended on trying to, when the project is complete, they'll move it to the completed. But I think since it became a lot, nobody has had the time to do that. So we have the ongoing another page called complete, and then you have archive for storing stuff, but it can be named anyhow you want. So pages are like different sections of your project with that are not connected to each other. It's like a different page in a book, if you can imagine it that way. They have different content and have different purposes. So you add them according to your preferences. Now, objects in Figma are called layer. Okay, objects in Figma are called layers. A layer is any object you add, whether it's a shape, whether it is an image, whether it is a frame, or whether it's a slice, or it's a section. Anything you add or you create, that affects the work you're doing is called a layer. I think the same thing applies when it comes to Photoshop. I'm not very fond of it, so, but I'm sure it's there. So as you can see here, you have a list of many, many things over here, and then I'll explain to you what these ones are. So I'll leave here for a while and then I'll come back later. Now here we have what you call the browser pane, where you find all the objects you have created. In case you want to select any of them, you can just look for them over here. Okay. All right. I'll switch to the right side and then I'll come back later when it is necessary. Please, I hope I'm not going too fast. I'm trying to beat the time.
Yeah, good, good.
And then we have what on your right here, and I'm going fast because we are all graphic designers, This, I mean, these software applications simply move around stuff just to look unique, but essentially at the core, they are all the same. So when it comes to the right, that is where you have your colors and your formatting. For example, if I create a rectangle like this, okay, if I create this rectangle over here, you can see that my design pane has changed. So you have settings over here, the position of the design or of the object or the layer, whether you want it to align to the left or align to the center, align to the right, the top, etc. And then you also have here when you want to create a component, but usually this is advanced, so you won't go there. If you also want to use as a mask, and Derek, can you help me with how you call a mask in Photoshop? Can anyone help me? Like a
It's the
mask is
same thing.
like the same thing. Okay, good. All right.
Yeah,
So
it's the same thing.
we have a masking feature here. So you select a PNG with a transparent background, and then you put a colored object, say a rectangle or a circle or anything, and then you use the color of the rectangle to paint the PNG, right? And then you have augmentations features over here. You have union, where you use to join, subtract, intersect, exclude. As you play with them, you'll get to know how they are used. So these are the tools over here are used to effect changes to the layer you have selected. It may change according to the layer because layers are not edited the same way, right? So you have this is the position. You will normally be fond of entering values here, but it tells you the spatial location of your object in the project space. And then you have the angle of rotation. As you can see, it just rotated. And then you have rotate by 90 degrees, like this, and so on. And then you have the flip horizontal and then the flip vertical. So, and then you have the width. You can also specify the width of your object over here, the width and the height. So instead of dragging it, you can specify it over here. And then this icon is used to lock aspect ratio, which means that it will take the ratio of the width to the height. And then once you increase the height, it will multiply, it will do a multiplication factor to increase the width accordingly. So it's like a scale factor or something. All right. And then you have the appearance where we edit the opacity. And then you have the fillet, the roundedness of the corners. Once you can enter a value here, or you can just place the cursor on the icon here and then you drag, it will begin to round off, right? As you see the numbers increasing like that, begins to round off. Most features are like that. You can just put this over here and drag, or if you have a value, just enter the value here, and then you are good to go like this. And then you can also edit more over here. Or you can also edit and specify the value of each specific corner. So you don't have to assign the same value to all of them. So you can change this on 200, etc. like that. And then you also have what you call unfortunately, Figma doesn't have a lot of default picture editing, default preset picture displays. I don't know if you have to call it, like picture filters, right? So if it was an image, if you selected it, you have a few of them over here. So you can also change them based on your preferences. That is like if you want to set a preset um, filter for your image, you can do it over here with this teardrop icon. It will blend with, but I think the special thing about Figma is that it blends with the environment. So it is not like you have shade, black and white. You have all of those things that you see in your Photos app. That one, it is specifically designed for the kind of colors around it. I don't usually use it very often because I want to tweak all the colors myself. But if you find it fancy, you can also employ it to help your design. And then you have the color over here. Once you click on this, the color square over here, it will bring up the color palette where you can select from a group of colors over here. You can select images on this page only that have been created on this page only, or you can um, go switch to images created in this particular file, right? So on this page or particular file, or there are some preset images from iOS and iPad OS 26 that you can also work with. Additionally, you can also create your own pictures, like any other thing, like in any other software like Photoshop, etc. You get the point. And then here, that is a custom, right? The custom images where you edit yourself. But here you have the libraries. You can create default colors that you want to be using with time, like the SPU blue. Okay, we have created like a library of it over here, a style. We call it a style. So you create it and then it becomes permanent. You can use it at any time. Just click on it and it will apply to whatever you design you're working on. So you can create custom ones here. Once you create a custom one, you can click on the plus to add it to your library as a style. You have uh, gradient coloring over here. Once you begin to play with this, it is very easy to understand. And then these numbers are the opacity levels, and then the color for each gradient layer. You can also remove the gradient using this minus icon. You add more stops to your gradient by clicking on this plus icon. Then you can also drag these ones along to create the type of smoothness you're looking for. You could also change the gradient orientation or direction from linear to radial, which will make it like a number of concentric circles. And then you have angular that will start from a particular corner like that. And then you have the diamond based on the preference you're looking for. And then you have the one that has, you can use an image as a pattern to color your design. You can also, you can select a pattern over here. So you select the image as you select an object as your pattern. Say, okay, so if I select this part like this, I can use this thing to form a pattern through it. I don't usually use this part, so uh, I hope you find it useful. And then you can also put an image, like pasting a flyer on a wall or something. And then you can also add a video. And then, as I said, the blend mode I explained earlier can also be found over here. All right, so you can also tweak the things here by yourself without relying on the presets. You can tweak the exposure, the contrast, like any other design software. All right. And they have additional functionalities like the stroke. The stroke is it's like the line around it, like a border around it. So once you click on it, it adds a stroke. You can also click on this plus to add a stroke, and then you can edit the color of the stroke. The thickness can also be changed over here, say to 100 like this. And then you change the color. It also accept the hex code. You can also take the RGB, different types of color coding system that you want to use. The opacity can also be controlled from here, like this, here and there. And then you can also select the color on the slider like this. All right, there are additional settings here, but as you work with them, you'll be able to identify how best they can help your design. And then, so we also have the overall opacity of the color you have selected. Whether you want the stroke to start from the border of the original image and go inside, or you want it to start from the border of the original image and go outside, or you want it to be split into half and then be at the center. So all of them can also be done over here. And then you can also come here to change the if you want to put the stroke on only the top, you can do it like this. And then as many as you select, it will apply it like that. So if you want to change it, if you select only one, it will put it at the top. If you select the bottom, it will put only at the bottom. But if you want to put it maybe at 3 places, you come to custom, right? And then you can specify the numbers over here. All right, so that is, and they also have effects. Effects are like for example, you have the drop shadow effect, you have the layer blur, the background blur, the noise, the texture, and inner shadow. So you can add a shadow on like, I'm sure you are very familiar with it in other software. You can add a shadow from here. And then you have where you export the final product. So you can export from here. Once you click over here, you can export as a PNG. And then the higher the number over here, the sharper the higher the resolution of your image. So these numbers multiply the output pixels according to the factor over here. So the bigger the number, or the higher the resolution, or the sharper or the crispier your object becomes. But also mind you, the bigger it gets. Okay, so you can also export change the output format as JPEG or SVG, scalable vector graphics, or the PDF or a PDF document. All right. Okay. And then once you're done, you click on export, or you can preview how it will look like over here. Okay. Now, after having done this one, you realize that this is the area where you work. This is where everything somebody said something in the chat. Yeah, David. So I think it's because of the time.
Maybe David can put a question in the chat box. Then, if it's something you can talk
Okay,
about
he put a question here, but he's asking
no,
if I'm lecturing. I'm
no,
just
he's asking if he can ask a question while you are lecturing.
Oh, as you're lecturing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can do that, Dave. But I think Derek said you should put the question in the chat box. So please do that.
Yes.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. Sorry. All right. So let me delete this ugly thing. So when you come here, that is where you put all your work. Now, um, when you come to the bottom here, that is where you create all the things that you see over here. So you can change the cursor from a moving hand, a selecting hand, to a hand tool, or a scaling hand. So if I click on scale and I select this, I can scale this one like that. Okay. But normally you would have it on the move. You have the shortcut keys V, H, and K. All right. Now, when you come to this area, the region tools, that is where you create a frame. A frame is like a sheet where you put your design on. You want to put your designs on a flame. Hey, sorry. Well, it's to put to put it on a frame. A frame is like your canvas where the artist draws all the things that they want to draw. So everything here, this is one frame. Okay, the cover page of the GPT-25 is one frame. You can see that a frame. This another frame. All these are frames. So once you click on frame, you can specify the size of your frame by just clicking and holding your mouse and dragging. Or you can come to the frame settings and then select the size, a preset size based on the device at the screen, the devices over here, or popular social media post dimensions like Twitter and etc. So you can do that as well, or you can specify the size in the width and the height. You can also specify the orientation, right? So once you create a frame, then everything you design has to go on the frame. Okay, so everything has to be added to the frame. Okay, so once I create a frame, you realize that it will be added to this to the layer section. Okay, so a frame is symbolized or it is signified with this ash-like or ash-like symbol over here. It looks like a piece of fence. Okay, so that's a frame. All right. So once I click on the frame, because I've added nothing to this frame, if I add a rectangle to this frame, realize that the frame will now be collapsible and expandable. Then you see that the rectangle is under or within the frame in the browser settings. If I add a line like this, the line will be added to the frame. And then if I add an ellipse, the ellipse will be added to the frame, so on and so forth. So it means that everything under this frame belongs in this frame, right? Every layer. And then I can also group these layers using the popular Control G, and I can put them in a group. Once I put them in a group, it also becomes collapsible. I can name the group over here. And please, everything here can be renamed and named. Okay, so once you double click on it, you can just rename it wherever you want. All right, you can do Control Shift and G to undo your grouping. All right. So the frame is like again the canvas where you do all your design. Okay, everything you put over here will fit in the frame. All right. And then we also have the what you call the section. A section is like a section of a page. You create, for example, when I started designing in Figma for SPE Ghana, what I did was I created a section for myself where I can easily locate my designs. And then also, even for the SPE GPT-25, I created a section. So as you can see, there is a section called GPT 2025. And when you come here, you can see that it is like it is gray, but not as gray as the original background. These colors can be changed. Okay, so once you click on, you can just change the color to anything you want, but it doesn't really matter. It's usually gray. And then once you create a section, you can put all the all the designs that fit into that particular category. So it's sort of like categorization or like creating a collection of designs. So like I said, this is mine, the one that I created for myself, JAT, my initials, so that I could find all my designs over here. So like for categorization and collection, you can create a section for yourself. And section can include everything. Okay, it can include anything that could fit anywhere, right? Now, one thing you should know is that if I create a circle like this, right? A circle like this, and then I drag it here, you can see that even though a part of it is appearing on this frame, let me take it to our frame that we created. Let me take it here. Even though a part of it is appearing on this frame, you can see that it's not fitting in, right? It is not inside because as you can see, the ellipse here, its name is not in this frame. So I can move this frame, I can move this ellipse 2 into the frame by just clicking and dragging it over it like this, or bringing it inside, and then I leave it, it falls into it. Now I can drag it around anyhow I want. And once you drag, there are also these lines that guide you as you also draw, right? So I can also remove an object from a frame by simply um, dragging and removing it from here in the browser pane. So it will be on it, but it won't be part of the frame. So this means that if I export this frame thinking that this circle is part of the frame, I'm deceiving myself. It is not part because I have removed it from the browser section. It is not in the frame. It is not in the frame. A frame is like a container. It's not in it. So when I export, this circle won't be part of it unless I bring it back into the frame like this. All right. Um, so yeah, so that is for the frame, the frame and the design. So you can also add a line, an arrow. So you can also add text. Yeah, can also add text over here. Once you add a text, a number of tools will be activated that are suitable for editing text. So if I can change the font size over here to 100, and I can just type some random stuff over here. And I can also edit the font, choose the font over here, the appearance of the font, whether not all fonts have these options for appearance. So please be mindful. And as in any other software, you must have already selected the entire text box, or you can simply, before you can effect any formatting on it, right? So I can now change the font size, a font type. But if I click on it and the cursor is here and I change it, it won't affect it, right? It won't change anything unless I highlight or I select the entire box. Now you can see that the box is bigger than the font or the text. So I can just double click on any of the edges and then it will snap to fit the text perfectly like this. It will fit perfectly. Now I can change the font size. There are presets over here, but I could also enter a value here. This one here is when you have paragraphs, the height between the individual lines in your paragraph, right? And this is like the spacing between the letters. You can also change it over here. And this is the alignment. You have left, central, and then right. And this is the align top, align middle, and align bottom of your box. And then you have additional settings. This is very useful because you find additional settings here. You find um, justified over here. You find underline, strike through. You have a lot of details for the underlined, okay? And everything here gives you extra functionalities. And then over here, I have typed my text in lowercase, but I can change the case from here to all upper or all lower again, or first letter uppercase, title case, or I will make the first I'll make the first letter bigger and then the rest smaller, all the while all of them being uppercase. But this particular font doesn't support that, so I can't do that. And then I can also trim, or you see all these gutters around the text, the space between the underline, the blue line here, and then the line, I can trim it off so that it will align perfectly with the bottom of the text like this. It will snap like that so that you can save yourself some stress. It can be very useful. Also have paragraphs over here. The bulletin types are also abundant over here. Can also truncate. If you want to truncate the text by a particular number of lines, you can also do that. They have more details. A lot of things are also over here. They are all for text formatting. And then as you did for the rectangle, you have stroke, you have effect, and then you can also export even a text. All right. And then you can also apply color. Apply color here as well. And then we have something here called I think there's a feature called, oh, it doesn't really, okay. Sometimes it comes where you can select all the features that have the same formatting. Now, Figma is so fun because when you paste an image, it comes directly. You can copy an image from your file explorer and simply paste it, and it will come exactly how it is, not pixelated, and the quality remains the same. And then you can continue working with it. You can paste video, you can paste anything from anywhere, as long as it is a supported file in Figma. All right, and then when you come to the browser here, you can rename a layer by double-clicking on it. You can hide a layer from being seen, which means that it won't appear in your export. You can also lock a layer from being edited. And for example, if you want to find a layer, let's say, you can also search for a layer over here. So if I search for J80, right? J80, it has brought me my image. And then if I click on this one, it's a section called J80. But sometimes when you search for a word, okay, let me say a word like exceptional. I hope it has been used here before. Exceptional. Or sometimes it is very funny, but sometimes when you search for a particular document or a particular object, you may not find it. So the best way to look for it is to click on the icon in the browser. So double click on the icon like this, and it will bring the object into view. So if I click uh, on the frame icon over here, it will bring me to that particular frame like this. It will bring me to this particular frame where that frame is in the workspace. Okay, so I think that is pretty much everything I have to say about the basics. And this is what you call spline, where you can draw non-straight lines like this. You can create spline using this tool. Once you click on it, once you come here, you can change the sharp angles to bent angles like this, and then like this, like this, and then you can tweak the shape by dragging these handles. Once you are done, let's say if I close it like this, I can click on this bucket and then color it. All right, or it's not closed. It should be closed. Okay, I can click on this one. Okay, then I guess it's not closed. But if you create like a closed object like this, let me try another one. Like this, and like this. You close it. Once you close it, you can just I should be able to, you can just apply color to it. So, but it should be closed first before I can apply the color. That's what I wanted to show you. And then you can also do other different settings by joining, and etc. Okay, so, and then in Figma, too, you can also add comments, just like in any collaborative design software, you can add comments, and then you can also address other people's comments. Yeah, there's also a version called dev mode, but I think that one is paid. Also, I haven't used it for normally for coding, where you program stuff for UI design and all of that. So yes, and you can also share your project from here. Yeah. So these are all the people who are currently having access to the SP Figma project file. All right. So I promised 40 minutes, and then I hope I was it was okay.
Yeah, that's very, very good. A lot of knowledge in just 40 minutes, and that's very impressive. So I don't know if you have answered David's question. David is asking that when you are exporting a file, you see something called 1 times, 2 times, 3 times. What does it mean? And then
Yeah.
before
So
you answer, is it possible, before you answer that, is it possible in about the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, all the things you have put together we use to create a simple design so that people will understand all the tools being used over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can. I'll probably just recreate this thing. I'm not a very good designer, so if you put me on the spot like this, I'm in trouble. So please bear with me. I'll recreate something. Yeah. So yeah, so the 1 time, 2 times, so it is there for images. So so let me come to a spot like this. If I come to PNG, JPEG, etc., and I select any of the images over here, right? The 1 times 2 is used to specify how sharp my design would be, and also the size of my outputs. So if I click on times 2, my design will be a lot crispier than times 1, right? It becomes pixelated very easily when the export factor is very small. So if you choose 0.5, it means that your design is going to be quite pixelated. So if you want your design to be crisp, then you want to choose a higher export factor. But you should also be aware of the fact that the higher the export factor, the bigger the size of the output. So if you choose one, it is going to be less, it's going to be more pixelated than times 5, but it's going to be smaller than times 1.5. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, that's clear.
Good. All right. So,
I don't know if it's clear for David.
yeah, Dave.
Okay.
Yes,
David
please,
says
I'm
it's
okay.
Sure, thank you. All right. So I would duplicate, and let me also explain the movements. If you're using a mouse, I mean, if you click on your scroll wheel and hold, you can pan around. If you want to zoom in, you hold control and then you scroll in like this, in and out. And then if you want to pan with your scroll wheel, you hold shift and then you scroll. And then as you scroll, it will be moving left and right. But I usually prefer the panning. So you click on your scroll wheel and then you move around to pan. You right click on any object and it will bring you any particular set of settings you can do. And then the copy and paste is very powerful. You can copy as SVG. You can copy, I can copy this frame over here. I can say copy as PNG, right? And then I'll paste it. It becomes a PNG file or a PNG object. I cannot edit anything. Yeah, that is how powerful pasting is. And then also you can also paste properties of one particular layer onto another. For example, I can paste the properties of this thing. I can paste the properties of this text, say copy properties, and then I can right click on this one, select and right click, and I'll come to paste and paste properties. It will appear like this one. So that's a great way of making your copy and paste life very easy. All right, so let's head to the design. So first of all, I'll create uh, how do you call it? A frame. Okay, a frame. I should have asked it as a question. But I'll create a frame over here, and then I'll need an image. So I can just go online like this and say engineering helmets, right? So I can just click on this image. Can click on this image. My mouse is not helping me, so please pardon me. I think it's actually the same image. Just click on it, copy the image, and now come to Figma. If I select this frame and then I paste the image, it will fit the image into the entire frame. The same thing applies to rectangles. If I create a rectangle and then I copy an image into it, sometimes, or most of the time, it will fit the image into the shape that you pasted it in. So I can just press Ctrl C and it will fit let me copy it again. It didn't work. Copy. All right, and then paste here. See, it will fit the image. It will fit the image into the frame. So as you can see, the image appears under the frame I have created. So I'll name it test. Okay, so you realize that the image comes right under it. It did not, if I pasted it outside, it will be on top, it will be different. It won't be inside it. It won't be part of the frame or inside the frame. So Control Z brings it back. I can just rotate it like, once I put my cursor on the corner of the rectangle, it will rotate it like this. And then if I hold Shift, it will rotate it in definite angle. So if I hold Shift, it will rotate it like in 15 degrees. So 15, 15, 15 like this, and I get negative 90. So this is what I want, and I fit it inside like this. Now I need to make sure that the image is a little bit the brightness goes down. So I'll insert a rectangle over the image like this. Like this. I should make sure it's about the same size as the frame, right? So I'll come here and then I'll make it black as possible. Okay, I'll make it black as and then I'll change the opacity to say a suitable 78. Or let me make it 80. I think 80 will look better. All right. So I'll make it 80 like this. And then you can also use your touchpad if your mouse isn't working. Just pinch in to zoom out and then pinch out to zoom in. Yeah. So once I do that, I have to add this rectangle too. And then I have to adjust the size. I could also use the size adjustment here. If I know the size of the frame, then I make sure it fits. If I'm also confused, I can simply use once the rectangle is in this frame, if I click on the align center, horizontal center, it will align it with respect to the frame. It will put it at the middle of the frame. And then I come to vertical centers, it will take it to the vertical center of the frame like this. But this frame is in the section. So if I click on left align, it will take it somewhere. It will align it to the left of the section that it is in. So objects are always aligned with respect to the container they are in. I don't know if that makes sense. Right, so if your object is in the plane, it will be aligned with respect to the frame. If it is in a section, it will be aligned with respect to the section. So a rectangle in a frame will be aligned with respect to the frame, but a frame in a section will be aligned with respect to the section. But if the rectangle is not in any frame, right, and align, can someone guess? Can someone tell me what it will align itself with respect to? Is it a frame or the section or the entire workspace? Can someone tell me?
Only the section.
The section, exactly. So if I put it here, if I go to top alignment, it will bring it to the top like that. Yeah. So that was good. Thank you. All right, then I would simply come here. I'll need a rectangle here. I'll just draw a rectangle in the center like this. And then I could also, the fillets, the corner radius, I can also adjust them using the nodes over here. Once I click on one and I drag it in, it will adjust all of them. And then you see the size of the radius 21 written over there. It's the same thing over here. The same thing over here. I could also enter it here as well or drag from here. And I could also, if you want to edit or change a particular fillet without changing the entire thing, you will click on Alt. Once you click on Alt, it means you are editing only that particular corner. So I'm currently holding on Alt, holding down Alt. When I hold down on it and I drag, it will edit only that corner. It won't edit the other corners, right? Now, from this point onwards, whenever I take a particular corner to edit, it won't affect the rest because of the Alt thing that I did, right? It won't affect the rest. But if I want to go back to the state where one single edit affects the rest, then I have to hold Alt again like this, and then I'll drag back like this. So once I hold it and I do it for once, I can continue without holding it or pressing it again. All right. I normally prefer using the iOS corner smoothing. So let me bring it to 60 like this nicely. And I will align it to the center of the frame and make sure it's properly aligned. I'll need this one to be white. I can also enter the color code over here or choose the white from here. Then I will need my image. Let me search for an image professional headshot for black man engineer like that. Then there you go. Yeah, so I have this one over here. Okay. Okay, so I've copied the image over here from my browser. And then I'll have to insert a circle, the circle that the image is going to fit in. I can also paste the image and then fillet it and then make it into a circle. but that applies only if the image is a perfect square, right? So if I want to draw a perfect ellipse, I'll hold shift and then I'll click and then I'll drag. So like this, I click on ellipse, and then I'll hold shift. Anytime you hold on shift, you're thinking about drawing a perfect shape. So whether it's an ellipse or a square. So I'll draw this ellipse. Yep.
We've got 5 minutes more.
All right. I'll be quick. I'll put this ellipse here, and then that'll be it. And then I'll copy my image from my browser or my file explorer, and then I'll simply click on the ellipse. You can also edit the arc, the completeness of the ellipse arc over here like that. Okay, and then I click on it and I select. I do Control V. It will fit the image into the ellipse. And if I want to position the image out, I'll click on the image like this and I'll come to the crop button over here like this. And then I can reposition the image into it. I can scale it up by holding Control. Whenever I hold Control and Alt, you are scaling. So, Shift and Alt, you are scaling. So I'll hold Shift and Alt like this and I'll scale it up and I'll drag it down and position it very nicely. And then I'll put a little stroke around it to make it look more, to make it stand out better. I'll increase my stroke to 4, like this. And then my text too, I'll copy the text from here. I'll just click on text, and then I'll copy it and then I'll add a new text and say test engineer. Right, and then I can change the alignment. I'll double click to trim it down, and then I'll add a new text. The new text will have the old formatting I applied to the old text that I created. So I'll come here, copy it, and then it disappeared because I didn't add anything into it. So I'll just add it over here, and I'll paste it. Whenever I hit Control V, it will use the formatting from the original text. So quickly we have put together a design in Figma, and I hope that I know it was a little bit rushed, but I hope that we were able to learn things, and we are going to be able to use Figma from now. Well, thank you, Derek, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks to everyone for coming.
Right. Thank you very much, Justice. That was very, 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 very creative. I'm sure that all those who have joined have learned, and I hope that those who are going to watch the recording are going to learn too. That means that if you are on this call and then you couldn't catch up quickly, you can go back and watch the recording and then pick up from where you couldn't catch up at. Thank you very much once again, Justice. And
sure. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate the audience.
Right. This marks the end of our training. It's been 4 days. We've learned Canva, we've learned Figma, we've learned Photoshop, and we've learned the elements and then the principles of designs. And one thing that we've realized is that the principles apply throughout the principles apply throughout the design tools. The elements we use also apply throughout the various tools within each software. They are almost similar. All you need to do is to pick one software which you are best at, or pick one software which you are very comfortable with. Apply the elements, the tools, and then the principles, and you get a great design. All right. Thank you all so much for joining, and God bless you. Thank God for such a successful workshop. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you guys, and have a nice weekend. Bye.
Yes. Thank you very much, Justice, for this.
Mr. Derek, please, the thoughts on the motion design.
The part on the motion design. Maybe we should schedule another meeting for it. Maybe an exclusive workshop for motion design. Maybe
Okay.
I'll bring Kenneth on board to teach us After Effects. Then I'll do the